You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where the strange is just another day at the office and the unexplained is our playground.
It's time to talk about a very serious matter. Are you prepared for an alien invasion? It may seem like something out of a sci-fi movie, but the threat may be very real. And that's why the Galactic Alliance is here to help. With our state-of-the-art technology and top-of-the-line defense systems, we're ready to take on any extraterrestrial threat that comes our way. But we can't do it alone. We need your help, citizens of the galaxy. So if you see something suspicious, say something. Report any strange activity to your local Galactic Alliance outpost immediately. And if you want to be extra prepared, sign up for our Alien Defense Training Program. Learn how to use a laser blaster, navigate through space, and communicate with alien species. Who knows? You might even make some new alien friends along the way. So remember, stay vigilant, stay prepared, and together we can keep our galaxy safe. A public service announcement from the Galactic Alliance.
I'll be right there. Don't move.
Imagine a world where information can't be trusted. Not very hard, is it? News service says one thing, website says another. Society starts to fray. All we can turn to are the people we care about. But what if those people weren't who we thought they were? What if the ones closest to us, the ones we've trusted our whole lives, were someone else entirely? What if they weren't even human?
Respectfully? What exactly are you talking about?
Chaos. And that's only the beginning. 5 global terrorist strikes within the past year, each one claimed by a different group.
Business as usual.
That's precisely what they want you to think. Argentina attacks Colombia. Colombia attacks the Philippines. A violent chain reaction consuming the globe. Do you realize that the entire world is at war?
The atmosphere has been tense.
There is an architect to that tension. These attacks are escalating. If they hit the soil of a major power,
Do you think the same people are behind all of this?
not people. Skrulls. Oh, come on, Ross, you know the stories. This didn't start yesterday. It started 30 years ago when the Skrulls found Earth. Carol Danvers and Nick Fury promised to find them a new planet. But now they don't want just any planet. They want ours. Look, can't you see it? All these groups, they're the same. Skrulls could be anybody, anywhere, anytime.
And there is only a tiny handful known to live on Earth. That's barely enough to...
To what? You have no goddamn idea what you're talking about. There could be thousands of them, tens of thousands, and you would never know.
Okay, Prescott, let's play a little game of forest for the trees, shall we? Yes, Skrulls can shapeshift. Yes, they're living really well. But as you said, only Skrull contact has been refuted. That means there are allies.
Their will is fear. All these other attacks, they mean nothing. Compared to this. This is the one that sets the world on fire.
Well, hello and welcome to the show. Impromptu bonus show today with me, your famous host Liam Martin and the Exiled Minds Podcast. So yeah, today special bonus show. Just fancied it, fancied checking stuff out. Got some new graphics and stuff and I wanted to see what they look like on the stream, all that sort of thing. Keep practicing and whatnot. So that's what we're doing because I can, because it's my own show. So impromptu show today. So It's stupid o'clock in the morning. I shouldn't really be up at this time, but hey, what are you going to do? So for me, Sunday, early hours of the morning, we're going to do a bonus show, which will technically be, it will be the 40th, but I'm going to do another one, so this we'll call this 41. But yeah, this EMP show today, Chasing the Wil of the-Wisp. So one of my friends, Mike of Exiled Minds Radio Network, happened to mention, which I didn't know, that Wil of the-Wisp was one of his kind of favourite mysteries and things that got him interested in this stuff. Just impromptu mentioned the other day. So I thought, I'm just going to do a show about that. Just came to mind, and some bits about it popped up in relation to that show when he mentioned it, and the show I did before, of which there were a few synchronicities with me and other listeners. So I thought, well, that's a weird synchronicity, so let's just do it. And I remembered to load up the chat doc as well, and there we are, someone in the chat straight away. Jay, my mate Jay, lives in New York. It is a Saturday night with the famous Liam Martin. Saturday night with the famous Liam Martin. What more could you ask for, eh? No. I'm just trying to think. You don't need, who's a famous person? You don't need Jay Leno, do you? When you got the famous and the mighty, do you? You know what I'm saying? And we've already got a Jay, so how many Jays do you need? You know what I'm saying? This guy's worth 10 anyway. But enough about Jay. It's not a show about Jay. We probably should get Jay on the show, do a show about Jay. Maybe we should. But we're not doing that today. Today we're doing a special bonus show on Chasing the Wil of the-Wisp. So join us on a mesmerizing journey into the world, of mysterious folklore, and we'll explore the intriguing phenomenon of Wil of the-Wisp. So in this episode of the Exiled Minds Podcast, we'll hopefully uncover some of the secrets behind the flickering lights. I'm going to say that, don't say that when you're too drunk, flickering lights. But the flickering lights that have bewitched and bewildered people for centuries. So there are ancient legends and ghostly tales to the science that unravels these mysteries. So we'll delve into the history, look at the culture, the natural explanations, if there are any, surrounding this enigmatic phenomenon. So tune in. Hopefully you already are. No, Jay is. Tune in to the Exiled Minds Podcast, and we'll delve into all of this, and we'll hopefully illuminate and captivate this. Get this captivating story. Get it illuminated. Oh, messed that little half joke up there. And see what we'll see what scientific discoveries there are concerning the Wil of the-Wisp. See if we can shed some light on this timeless mystery that continues to dance at the intersections of myth and science. Because what it is, well, we'll get into what the Wil of the-Wisp is. It's concerning lights, mysterious lights. So that's why we've got the little colour jokes there and light jokes. It's not all me. I work in consort with computers, so they're part of the bad jokes as well. Computers doing dad jokes. But anywho. So, to introduce the topic, the Wil of the-Wisp is also known as the ignis, so ignis fatuus, like the foolish fire, or I suppose the foolish light, is a mysterious and often eerie phenomenon found in folklore and reported in various parts of the world. It typically appears as a flickering, hovering, or dancing light, often seen at night, in marshy or swampy areas, over bogs or near bodies of water. Water tends to come up quite a lot in terms of mystery stuff to do with portals and UFOs, and therefore lights in the sky. And water has got like a kind of, it's got the, the frozen solid state we know of, liquid state, steam state, so it's a gas, so solid, liquid and gas, but it's got a kind of fourth state in between. There's some mysterious things about water. So water comes into this. Conducts electricity, it expands when it freezes. There's weird stuff about water. So, and it's obviously essential to life. So, they often seem to be around a water area. So whether or not that will be sort of relevant in the phenomenon, I'm really not sure, but we'll see. So we'll look into the legends. So if there's any explanations through history. So a few key aspects of the folklore then. Is it the Wil of the-Wisp? Yeah, let's see what we've got on the old the video viewers. I'll instead of looking at my ugly mush, we'll see what we can share here. We'll get onto the initial explanation here, get my ugly mush off the screen. We'll get one of these articles up. Although I'll continue with my explanation actually, because I did a bit of a write-up, so I might as well try and stick to the script. I'm still practicing. Okay, so the folklore regarding the Will-o'-the-Wisp. It's been part of folklore and legends for centuries. It's often associated with mischievous or malevolent spirits, ghosts, or fairy tales. Or fairies. In some cultures, people believe that these lights were the souls of the dead, or spirits trying to lead travellers astray. That's the kind of impression I always had of it. That's the spirits kind of wandering, or trying to kind of get people to lead people astray for some reason. There are supposed natural explanations then. While it was once widely considered to be a supernatural phenomenon, modern science has provided natural explanations for Will-o'-the-Wisp. One common explanation is the combustion of methane gas produced in decaying organic matter in swampy areas. When methane gas escapes and the ground encounters oxygen, it can ignite, producing flickering flames. Okay, so that totally makes sense. For me, it does. I think it makes sense. It's the older swamp gas thing, but then that becomes a bit of a joke because that's been used as for the to explain UFOs and stuff. Swamp gas, so many times. So it's a known. I suppose that is a known thing. Okay, but that's become a joke because it turns out we are allowed to talk about UFOs now because there is a thing, because they're in the infrared and it's been going for ages, and since at least the 16th century, Nuremberg had an account of a bloody space battle above the head. Well, not even space, it was in the sky. So, it's been going for a long time. Indians talk about it. But anyway, yeah. So if UFOs aren't swamp gas, then maybe a Will-o'-the-Wisp isn't swamp gas either. Is just my point there. But anywho, moving on with the folklore here. So yeah, concerning the folklore, so it's ancient. I heard of that as it's trying to lead travellers astray. Natural explanation could be swamp gas, but also bioluminescence, which again, Mike happened to mention bioluminescence, that a lot of mammals are kind of bioluminescent, and they've got the old with the cats the other day, the sort of bioluminescence of that with the eyes, and someone checking them with ultraviolet lights. And it turns out mammals are kind of animals, or a lot of creatures are kind of bioluminescent to an extent. So, let's have a look. So it's bioluminescence. In some cases, bioluminescent organisms such as fireflies, certain types of fungi, and other glowing insects may be mistaken for will-o'-wisps. These organisms emit their own light, hence bioluminescence, to illuminate through biology. So these organisms emit their own light, creating the appearance of mysterious lights in the night, which again makes sense. Another classic scientific explanation is the atmospheric phenomena. Atmospheric conditions such as temperature inversions and refractions of light can create optical illusions that make distant lights appear closer and more mysterious than they actually are. Literary and cultural references. Will-o'-the-wisps have made appearances in literature, folklore, and popular culture. It often symbolises deception, maybe considering, if the spirit's trying to lead you astray. So symbolising deception, the alert of the unknown. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. Being led to through some mysterious path, which I suppose what we're doing here, actually. The allure of the unknown is exactly what we're doing. I'm off to a flame, so maybe we're will-o'-wisping it with our... The modern will-o'-the-wisp is that the monitor or the TV screen. Anyway, something to think about there. So yes. So let me just go back here. Yeah, so we've got the bioluminescence, the atmospheric explanation, the refraction of light, making them appear closer and more mysterious. They say they've come in folklore throughout sort of history, often symbolising deception, the unknown, and the dangers of following false lights, or maybe that's quote unquote sort of false prophets. if you want to think about that, think of that sort of segue, that kind of talk. And there's some regional names as well. And then we'll go on with the articles. Yeah, some regional names are. Will of the Wisp is known by various names in different cultures and regions. For example, in Scandinavian folklore, it is called. Okay, this is something gub. It's Lykt, gooby, gub with an e. So I'm going to try it and say. I'm going to say that's Liktgub. So it's called the Liktgub in Scandinavia. And there's another similar one in Latin America, which is Likt mained, and Liktgub. They kind of sound kind of similar, even though one's Latin American, one's Scandinavia. That's rather interesting. They're both from Scandinavia. Sorry, this is the Latin American one known as El Favorito or El Fuego Fatio. Okay. Mixed up with them. So yeah, it's different names. So they're seen in Scandinavia and they're seen in Latin America. You know, it's quite far away. So they're seen in other parts of the world, which I originally I didn't realize that. I thought for some reason I thought it was like a kind of English thing, because that's the only times I've heard of it, kind of English folklore, and in sort of video games where is those magical ones where it's kind of a bit like that. In fact, that's probably where I first heard of one, I think, from some video games. I'd say Dungeons and Dragons kind of stuff, which is, I suppose, where Michael Strange of Troubled Minds Radio, where he sort of first originally mentioned it. Oh, Bailey. Hi, Bailey. Great to see you. It's been such a long time since we've talked, you know. Bailey in the chat there. There's a game with a name that reminds me of this. Wisps. Oh, wisps. Mix up your crisps and your wisps. Because you'll be eating ghosts and they won't like it. And you'll eat some magic probably, which is what got me in the video game thing. They were purely magical. And it was early on in the game, I didn't have any magical. And it's like, phew, I got zapped to death. Didn't know what to do. Hey, hiya. Hope you're all good. All good, Bailey? But anyway, yeah, wisps. Alright, and let's read one of these articles, see what they've got to say. I'm just going to mute up as well, because I need to do a little cough and have some water. Bailey, it's called Ori and Will of the Wisps. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm going to check that out, because, you know, little slight spoiler, but in the Stargate franchise, there is a bunch of people called the Ori that kind of seem like they're making out, like they're kind of sounding like they're gods and stuff, or they're talking like the Jesus talk a little bit in that sort of way, in that kind of mission. They've got these missionaries, but they seem to have power, and it's because of a glow on the staff that they've got. It seems to have this power, like the Ori. I wonder if that, and probably completely unrelated, but I just thought that was quite interesting, because Ori, I've never seen it anywhere else. The Ori. There was something going on with them as well. I don't want to spoil it, because it's a really great story to find out. Because once they kind of started to beat the baddies through so many seasons in Stargate, these other people come along, and it's like, what? And then the people that were enslaved, supposed to be freeing themselves, start to turn to them, like, oh my god, these are real gods. And yeah, the glowing stick and stuff. But anywho, a little sidetrack there. But let's on with the article right here. So let's have a look then. I'll click on the screen so it's a bit bigger for me. So let's see what British mystery websites have to say about this. That's what I thought I'd do. So mysteriousbritain.co.uk, folklore of the Will of the Wisp. This is by Ian. Very humble there, just putting his first name. This is from a few years ago, updated 2018. So Will of the Wisp is a common name given to the mysterious lights that's said to lead travellers from the well-trodden paths into treacherous marshes. The tradition exists with slight variations throughout Britain, the lights often bearing a regional name. There are various explanations for the Will of the Wisp, and the most general being that the malevolent spirits of either the dead or non-human intelligences. Oh, okay, there's a thought. Okay. They have a mischievous and often malevolent nature, luring unwary travellers into dangerous situations. Walt Skies, in his book British Goblins, alludes a common story about a Welsh will-o'-the-wisp called Pwca, or Elialdan, as a peasant who is travelling home late in the evening and sees a bright light travelling before him. Looking closer to see if the light is a lantern held by a dusky little figure, which he follows for several miles, suddenly he finds himself standing on the edge of a great chasm, with a roaring torrent of water rushing below him. At that moment, the lantern carrier leaps across the fissure, raises the light over his head, and lets out a mischievous laugh, after which it blows out the light, leaving the unfortunate man far from his home, standing in the pitch darkness at the edge of the precipice. So it's just led him to a massive chasm and then jumped over the chasm and laughed at you. Like a... What a cheeky little devil. Is appearing and disappearing. Blows his light out as well. That's a nice little dramatic touch at the end there. I like that. They were not always so dangerous though. So we'll go on to add that bit just to give them the dues. And these are tales told about the will-o'-the-wisp there are tales about them being guardians of treasure, leading those brave enough to follow them to sure riches. In many places, the will-o'-the-wisp, in fact, actually that happens in video games, doesn't it? Kind of, sometimes will-o'-the-wisp do protect, or the ones I played, they kind of do protect stuff. You get, and that's sort of why they're there, in a way. Or it's like a case of where you're getting in. I know it's video game lore and stuff, but they're getting it from the real lore. That's why they're writing it in. But sometimes it's where the soldiers have fallen as well. Sometimes like hero soldiers, they've been trying to get the treasure. And sometimes it's a bit like you want someone to get it because so many people have got killed, and it's like, oh, it's so close, dude. You just got to not step on this thing here because it's not really a rock. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like one of them. And that kind of makes. So I went on James Salcedo, got a paranormal show, Salcedo Paranormal, and I went on his show the other day. And yeah, I was thinking about that, how these spirits kind of act and work. So maybe that is a thing, because I suppose if you put a lot of your life into trying to get treasure, if you're Indiana Jones, but it's not the movies, and you actually got killed trying to get one of these things, maybe you'd still be trying to get it. Or maybe when other travellers came in, you'd try and help them to get it, because it's like, if it's the Holy Grail and it's an important thing. So maybe if it's like Nazis come in, it would try and lead them astray. But if it's apparently someone quote unquote good, whoever the good guys are, then maybe like helps them. So that these spirit, I don't know how spirits work. But anyway, just carry on reading the rest of this bit. So yeah, in many places, the will-o'-the-wisps are associated with spirits of the dead who could not enter either heaven nor hell. Ah, stuck in purgatory people. Okay, that's the feeling I had as well with it sort of growing up. Kind of stuck. Okay. Wandering the earth, leading foolish travellers astray. Catherine Briggs mentions the Shropshire Will the Smith. Instead of will-o'-the-wisp, they call it Will the Smith. In her book, this is a Catherine Briggs book, A Dictionary of Fairies. St. Peter allowed a wicked blacksmith named Will to have a second chance to live a wholesome life on earth, but he lived in such evil that he was doomed to wander the earth in purgatory. The devil allowed him one grace, a burning piece of pit coal to warm him on his desolate walk through the wild lands, which he uses. So he's got a piece of hot coal then, in the sound of it, a piece of pit coal to warm him, which he uses to lead wanderers into the marsh. Oh, okay, yeah, so that's the light, a hot piece of coal. The lights were also seen as death omens. Oh, like the banshees. You see one of them, when you hear the banshee, that's it. It's supposed to be going to be a death. And death omens, and seen in graveyards where they were known as corpse lights. Oh, corpse lights. I've not heard that term before. That's an interesting term, corpse lights. Dun, dun, dun. Corpse light. Okay, yeah, that sounds pretty creepy. A corpse light. So yeah, in graveyards, I suppose it would be weird. And do you build? But how about this though? Because I suppose where are graveyards built? Because I like to think a graveyard, you'd want to build it on pretty solid land. You don't build them on marshes, do you? You don't want bodies like not on land that's got subsidence. I think you'd want to put them on pretty solid land, wouldn't you? So, what are the Wisp, the marsh, I'm just thinking kind of swamp gash explanation, account for ones in graveyards. But you put graveyards on pretty solid land, I'd think. But then again, if there's bodies in graveyards, don't bodies emit gases to decompose? So can you get like leaky coffins in the right conditions to maybe get some of them? I suppose that would be a scientific explanation. It's not the kind of thing, it's a bit morbid, isn't it? You wouldn't kind of, how do you study that? And it's sort of a little bit funny but not funny, like, oh, there's all these corpses farting to make these Will of the Wisp little lighting the farts, having the last laugh at the end sort of thing. But then it's a bit morbid, isn't it? So I don't know how we go with that one. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Corpse lights. I never heard that expression. I quite like that. So these corpse lights, they were said to light the path of a coming funeral too. When they're acting as omens of death, you're going to light the path of the coming funeral from the victim's home to the graveyard in the form of a small flickering flame. In other tales, the light were often said to appear in places where tragedy was about to occur. So again, yeah, with the omen thing, a bit like the banshees. Like say, you hear the banshees starting to sing, or you start to see Will of the Wisp regular. Maybe that's a sign, or maybe that is a thing. Maybe it's a thing in the science thing. Maybe it could be where a big moment is going to happen, and you're kind of somehow seeing the waveform collapse. I often think that about time slips. It's like you're just approaching, or you have little premonitions a few days ahead, and you forget about it, and then it happens. It's almost like you're close to the waveform, so you get a bit of bleed through. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm talking rubbish. I don't know if I am, but anyway, I'm going to take a little break because doing radio clock, and I'm trying to keep it really tight. So, and I've got all my things set up, so hopefully this should just come in just nice, and we'll have a quick break on the Exiled Minds podcast. Take a break from talking about Will of the Wisp, and we'll come back with me, your famous host Liam Martin, just after this quick 4-minute break and montage female pop, just like we're having the station, Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP, digital broadcasting. So we'll see how this goes.
From Earth, it will take 12 years for the next wormhole to open. God help us.
See you in a couple of minutes.
The Chigos have the same god.
All right, this ain't church. Retrieve the collateral damage and move out. Tells
And space is just a shortcut.
They won't even notice you. Suddenly he'll grab you. He'll throw you in a corner and he'll say, do you know that if is the middle word in life?
Okay, easy, sir. Captain Joyner, United States Army Special.
If you keep your head and all about you, easy really when you can trust yourself and all without you. I can't. I'm a little man.
Have people from your world been here before?
Before, yes. We are interested in your species.
He's a great man. I should have been a parrot, ragged claws.
You are a strange species. Not like any other. You'd be surprised how many you are. Intelligent and savage.
Hey, Vince, why do they call aliens chigs?
Because they look like chigos. They're like fleas. They burrow themselves under your skin.
To me, they look more like praying mantis.
You don't understand the first thing about humans. They're at their most formidable when they're threatened.
That challenge is one that we're willing to accept. one we are unwilling to postpone.
You are at your best, and was our worst.
You're tuned into Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where we peer into the future, embrace the power of AI, and delve deep into the conspiracies that shape our world.
Are you looking for a way to connect with your spirituality? Look no further than Spirit Magica Crystal Shop. They have a wide variety of crystals, from amethyst to obsidian and more, including crystal packs, unique deals, and amazing customer service. The products are made with the highest quality materials and are backed by their satisfaction guarantee. Spirit Magica Crystal Shop are committed to helping you find the tools and resources you need to live a magical life. So what are you waiting for? Visit Spirit Magica today. Use coupon code Troubled Minds, all one word, at checkout for 25% off your first purchase.
KUAP Digital Broadcasting, the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Making me crazy. I'm reaching out. Come on. I'm reaching out. I'm reaching out, reaching out.
Welcome back to the show. Thank you very much for taking a little break there, bearing with us. Exiled Minds Podcast returning with me, incredibly famous host Liam Martin. Back on with the show and back on with discussing the topic of the Will, the Wisp, which was inspired by Michael Strange, who happened to mention it was one of his kind of like more favourite ones that got him intrigued back in the early days. So, and a new chatter there, so say hello to Thomas. Hello. Hi and hello at the same time. We just invented a new word. Hello. Thomas W. Payne. New word, especially for you. Go and trademark it. It's yours. Hello. Hi. Nice to see you. We're talking about Will o' the Wisp. So we've just covered some of the folklore, the flickering lights. Do they pull people astray? Are they spirits trying to lead people away? Are they trying to guard treasure? Some of the folklore is maybe they're trying to lead you to treasure. And I was thinking, talking about, maybe if you like Indiana Jones and you kept trying to get a thing and finally he gets killed, it's not the movie, it's maybe you want to help someone. You want to help someone get in to get to the treasure or protect it from the so-called bad guys or whatever. But we'll carry on with some articles. So we've been reading a bit of the folklore here. If I can just get the article up for myself there. And we've had some, we looked at some regional names. So I'll just give some regional names and we'll jump onto another article. So I'll zoom in a little bit for the video, people. So some regional names. There are many names. One of them was called him Will the Smith. They thought it was a smith holding a piece of coal. He's an evil guy. But yeah, some regional names. say there are many names, but essentially it's the same phenomenon. These are the names as follows. So in Britain, in England specifically, they call it, in Hertfordshire in East Anglia, they call it the Hobby Lantern. In Lancashire, they call it Pegger Lantern. In Cornwall and Somerset, which is the southwest, which is probably the warmest, it's called Joan the Wad. Again in East Anglia, which is like southeast, the Lantern Man. Somerset and Devon, which again is southeast, it's called Hinky Punk. Somerset, that kind of area, it's not Cornwall, but the Cornish one where they call it Joan the Wad. They've probably got other names as well, because Cornish have got their own language, so this is a bit different, but that's what they're calling it, and they're in Somerset. But then where it says Somerset and Devon, they call it Hinky Punk. So I make that differentiation because that's probably a Cornwall one, Joan the Wad, because of their extra sort of language, like. But anyway, yeah, the one in Shropshire, as you mentioned, was Will the Smith. Worcester sauce. That's called the Pinkett in the West Country, which is sort of in the kind of the Midlands, really, the very middle of the country. Or they call it the West Country. It's kind of the middle, really. That's known as Jack-o'-lantern or Jack-o'-lantern. So that's interesting with the Halloween thing coming up. Jack-o'-lantern. Will of the Wisp, holding the pumpkin lantern thing. Okay, that kind of ties in. In the lowlands of Scotland, which will be like, yeah, in the lowlands of Scotland, they call it spunkies. In Wales, they call it Poaca or Elidan. Butchered them, I think, pretty much. Norfolk, that's sort of kind of middle east of Britain, sort of. They call it Willowwax. Warwickshire and Gloucestershire, they call it Hobbedy's Lantern, so another lantern one. And in North Yorkshire, Northumberland, which is probably closest here, they call it Jenny the Lantern. So again, there's a lot of, they're looking at it as a bit of a lantern thing in the British folklore. But what do they say on wordhippo.com? Let's find out, because they've got, I thought I was just have a look some quick, if there are any like synonyms of this sort of thing, and so what they're going to call it, like in the if it's in the dictionary. And again, just to see if there was any clues. That's all. They're calling it optical illusion, a trick on the eye, conjuring, effects, impressions, special effects, trick, visual, apparition, fata morgana, hallucination, illusion, mirage, phantasms, phantasmagoria, spectres, two different spellings there, tricks of light, trick of eyesight. So they're facing on like the kind of illusionary aspect, but one of them here was like, got fantasy, daydream, virtual reality, and chimera. Interesting. Chimera, I weren't sure how that would fit in. Ghosts and dream and unreality and misconception and phantom, they all kind of fit, but chimera is a bit odd. But then maybe not. Maybe not, because I got thinking with the bioluminescence being mentioned, and then because of Mike's show, because animals having bioluminescence, I thought, well, maybe it is a kind of bioluminescence from an actual creature that we don't really fathom. And then I think in the Second World War, famously, I mean, we can talk about UFOs now. So in the Second World War, famously, there was the Foo Fighters. They were thought to be plasma, but then I've heard stories about, this probably deserves a show, where they supposedly making these wonder weapons. They did manage to make these small devices that did work by plasma, and they would fly up and do stuff, but it was more of a propaganda thing, because they couldn't really do anything with them. You know, they couldn't control them, but they couldn't really put weapons on them, or they couldn't really put equipment with them, but they could make them fly. So it kind of, I don't know, like propaganda stuff. A bit like today now, we can do it with lasers and create kind of false UFOs, and they pick them up on radar, move the lasers, and it makes these plasma balls like move really fast. So just a little side note there. So could it be a chimera, kind of plasma life form, was what I was sort of getting at there. But anyway, moving on from the synonyms, let's check this other one then. So there's a nice little website here. Here, I'll get myself off the screen so you can have a look at it. I'll fade into the grass. Fade to grass. Oh, a little in joke there, Jay. Fade to grass. Anyway, yeah, so folklore in Scotland. This is from folklorescotland.com. Okay, so will-o'-the-wisp. In Scottish folklore, will-o'-the-wisps are variously depicted either as mischievous spirits, typically as a fairy, or even ghosts of the dead, eager to lead travellers off their path into the death. Okay, so that seems very nice. And this is by Liana Parashka. For weary travellers, especially those fearing they may have got lost, there is little that can inspire more hope than seeing the sighting of a light, especially come night time. It is not surprising then that the myths about the will-o'-the-wisp have sprung all over the world from Europe, Asia and the Americas. In Scottish folklore, the will-o'-the-wisps are variously depicted either as, like say, fairies or ghosts of the undead, leading travellers astray. The lights typically appear close to a bog, marsh or swamp places, where straying off the beaten path can become dangerous or even deadly. Most of the myths associated with will-o'-the-wisps, known in the Latin as mentioned, the foolish fire, show malevolent, mischievous or outright cruel nature. Few myths, however, will show the will-o'-the-wisp leading those brave enough to follow the light in the middle of dark into a vast treasure of riches beyond comprehension, which was mentioned before, but they're taking it further and saying, hey, it leads you to major riches. Maybe it's a guardian then of stuff, like I sort of mentioned before. Some believe that the spirits behind the will-o'-the-wisp are souls who could enter neither heaven or hell, which I mentioned before. So it's same in Scottish folklore as British folklore, and apparently in the Latin stuff as well. So perhaps it's all the same across the world, or perhaps it's moved. Perhaps it's moved to the Americas from Spain. It's been all over Europe. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so people trapped in purgatory others think the devil himself was behind the attacks, instructing spirits to return to earth with the sole purpose of leading others astray. For yet others, the will-o'-the-wisp that don't make sense though, to leave people astray to that, because if not that I've got my devil politics all like locked or anything, because we've not been chilling for a while or ever as far as I know. But doesn't the devil want people to do evil, sinful things so it can get you on stuff? Like a list of, you did this and that, that's how much I've got you sold. So you won't want to lead people off to the death, an early death, would you? Because unless you've done enough evil and he wants your soul now and he can't wait because he's like, you've got bills to pay or something. You know, but he ain't got bills to pay, has he? Because Baal's the first king of hell, Bill. So I don't know how it works. Wouldn't you want people to be alive as long as possible so they can do as much possible evil as possible and be led off the path spiritually? You don't want to kill people off early. What if they've done good all their life? You know, you're not going to get the soul, are you? So why kill him? He's missing an opportunity. You know, I don't know. That's my thinking. But anyway, going back to the article. I don't know. We're speculating, aren't we? Just trying to. But yeah, I don't think it will be the devil, if the devil's a thing. For others, the will-o'-the-wisps had a function similar to that of a banshee becoming an omen of oncoming tragedy. Uniquely in Sweden, the will-o'-the-wisp is a manifestation of an unbaptized soul who tries to lead travellers into bodies of water in the hopes of being baptized themselves. Opposing folklore and superstition tradition, science suggests that will-o'-the-wisps are lights produced as a result of oxidization of methane and diphosphane and phosphines and processes resulting from the decay of organic matter, which is it's kind of what I said about the old maybe that's why you get them in graveyards, because you know, organic matter breaking down and stuff, all the swamps and that. So although I mentioned before, and there is a genuine link with kind of supernatural phenomenon with water, and water's got its own unusual things going about. It does kind of make sense that if it's swamplands, then swamps, marshes and graveyards are prime places for the old swamp gas explanation to actually be real. actually be valid. You know, we're not talking lights in the sky, traveling at the blink of an eye, horizon to horizon. It must have been 10,000, 15,000 mile an hour. You know, we're talking little things, little blips, aren't we? You know, and maybe, and I suppose the nature of heat and burning in that way as well. Heat can distort the air, can't it? Sometimes you see that. I know at night you're not going to get to see that wobbling effect, but it could distort you when at the distance of it. So maybe you start walking in a marshland, maybe there's one close by, so you go towards it, maybe there's one a bit further away, so you think you're following one, but then the original light, maybe it farted behind you, but you just didn't notice. There's just a few in a line, just kind of, but you're only seeing the ones that you're chasing. Or maybe you do see one to your side and you think it's taking you to the right and you end up getting yourself turned around. I can sort of imagine that. But I got wondering on this, just to... because of where they're going, it's taking people to places, or it's going somewhere. And I got thinking, because they're saying it's green, they're sometimes seen as white or bluish, or white, you know, whitish blue or kind of green. Those are colours that have come up the most in the folklore. So I got thinking, because this happened on the show where Mike just happened to mention it was one of the things he was interested in, Matthew and myself had synchronicities about that show. I had one even during the show typing notes, and I thought maybe it's a synchronicity that I'd mentioned the feng shui and the colours and the bagua, and all that's been recent. I've got some pink there, just on the video, just in the animation. So then I thought maybe the direction matters, and maybe the colours matter, maybe there's some insight into this. So I thought, I mean, I'm not expecting to figure this out, but I thought, well, let's just at least have a look what the symbolic meanings are of some of the colours, you know, that we've got. So let's have a look at what some of these colour meanings are. So let's try to start with, just white then. So white, if it's a white light, as a colour of purity and innocence. White is a true balance of all colours. It is associated with cleanliness, simplicity and perfection. It loves to make others feel good and provides hope and clarity by refreshing and purifying the mind. It also promotes open-mindedness and self-reflection. Tell white lies means simply harmless lies. Okay. So maybe that's about just giving people hope when they're lost in the dark. You know, that's one thing you could say about it. Okay. And then in the other colour that was blue, they said that blue was a thing, so have a look at blue. So the blue was a colour of trust and loyalty. So blue has been claimed to be a relaxing effect on the psyche. So if you do want to lure someone away, maybe a blue light, someone's using the psyche against you. If it was like, you know, trying to trick you, trying to gain false trust. That's the words I'm looking for. Yeah, and that gives us a sense of peace and makes us feel confident and secure. It dislikes confrontation and too much attention, but it is an honest, reliable and responsible colour. You can always count on its support. So maybe if it appears blue, it's wanting you to count on its support. You know, its positive traits are that it's confidence, peace, honesty, reliability. Negative traits, conservative, passive, depressed, predictable. Okay. It symbolises security, trust, loyalty and responsibility. Okay. So what about the other colour, green? I think green with the greenish colour was the other will-o'-the-wisp colour. So we'll check that one out as well, see what it says for green. Just in case. Because this, if there is anything to this, maybe the colours give us a bit of a clue. So green is a colour of harmony and health. Green is generous. So maybe that thing to find the riches, maybe the green one will help you find the riches. Maybe there's a colour system here. You know, okay, so the colour, green is a colour of harmony and health. Green is generous. It's a relaxing colour. Again, make you want to follow it maybe. It revitalizes the body and mind. It balances our emotions and leaves us feeling safe and secure. And it also gives us hope with promises of growth and prosperity. And it provides a little bit of luck to help us along our way. So yeah, green, a bit of fortunate luck to find the treasure. So whether or not these things are true, maybe the colours are kind of part of the folklore and the story. You know, and I thought that was interesting considering that we've got, say, the feng shui, we had we talked about bagua and the colours. And I thought, well, maybe the physical direction that these things are travelling in the cardinal points, maybe that makes a difference. And that with the colour, maybe it gives you a hint of what their intentions are. So let's check this out then, check the bagua map. So green, if it's a green one, then green is set to the west. Yeah, white is set to the east, and blue is set to the southwest. Okay. So where blue was blue again is green is considered to be generous. So maybe if it's traveling to the west, maybe you can trust it, and it's where you're going to find the treasure. If it's traveling to the east, then what's that? It's the opposite. So maybe that's the opposite of treasure. Maybe that's tragedy then. Even though that's a color of purity, it's also its element is metal. So and I don't know. Does that mean like swords and death? Am I reaching too far? But wood is with the green to the west to get the treasure. I don't know. Maybe if you say, yeah, that's a bit of a inversion thing. If you're looking for gold and metal, you go east, follow the white light, think it's pure. That leads you to badness because you were going for the metal. But if you're going for the wood, that's more humble. Go to the green path, it's more in balance, and then you get the treasure. Or if you go to blue, I was right close to the wood, but you got the earth element. So you got blue instead. So that's, what was that? That was blue symbolizing study and stillness, contemplation. What else? We've got it in the colour thing here, and it's trust and loyalty. Maybe that bagua map's something then. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, we don't really know these things, but maybe this bagua map does matter then. Maybe if you go to the east, if you go for the gold, go for the metal element, that's where you get the bad stuff. I don't know, because I'm just wondering about that, if the direction makes a difference. Do you know what I'm saying? Because one's east, one's west and sort of southwest, and that direction seems to give you, like, okay. I don't know. What do you think about that? I just thought it was an interesting little thread to go along, because these, like I say, don't really know what they are. But is there a... I'm wondering if it applies to other phenomenon now. I kind of want to check it out. See if there's some kind of map you can check some of these phenomena out on. Or with other phenomenon, like there's one called, there's a place in Venezuela. In fact, I've got it up here somewhere. What's it called? It's Catamar. What's it called? Yeah, I've got it here. I know I've got it somewhere. Because the place, like with lights, talking of lights and these strange phenomena, I'm thinking, is there a map of stuff? There's a place called that's it, the Catatumba lightning. The Catatumba lightning. It's a place in Venezuela where it does lightning in a line in the same place over and over again, and it does it for at least 400 days a year. Nobody knows why. It's that spot all the time. You know what I'm saying? And I had a look to see if there was on some kind of ley lines on the Beckhagen's grid and stuff. And I haven't really finished looking at that yet. But then I'm wondering if some of this the-Wisp stuff, maybe if there was enough reports of enough research, maybe you could figure out what colours people are claiming and what direction they were going. And there might be a pattern to it. And maybe they're following ley lines as well. Or if the spirits, maybe like say, the clue in the direction could give you some clue to their intention. Or whether their intention is the opposite of what that looks like. So, I don't know. Just something to sort of think about. Because this the-Wisp stuff, like I say, it's one of those mysterious things. I mean, I know I had a girlfriend at one time that who said she kind of described one of these things, you know. But for her, it was almost like more than one phenomenon at the same time. So. Just bring me a sec, I just need to do a little cough. So, okay, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, so what she saw, I had this girlfriend. Oh, she's really lovely as well. She told me about this she saw this orb over a field. So I don't know if it was marshland. It might well have been actually, but it was over this field, and said it kind of looked like it was coming towards her. But then she said if she watched it kind of like leave the field and then sort of turn into a shadow being. And she was pushing a baby in a pushchair, trying to get her to sleep, walking around the block. And she said that then she noticed the shadow being was kind of like following her while she's pushing this kit. So she saw, like a will-o'-wisp kind of thing. But then apparently, or at least in her case, she said it turned into a shadow person that started following her. Unless it just happened to be a shadow person coming down the street where the will-o'-wisp phenomenon was going. Or maybe a shadow person just happened to be coming down the street while some swamp gas just happened to be pointing towards it. I don't know. It's an unusual one, but I will say that I think that girlfriend I'm talking about, I don't want to give her name away in public, but I think she might have been a little bit psychic, to be honest, because she did used to kind of guess stuff. And it's not a joke, like, because, girlfriends and women intuition and that. No, she did used to. I tested her a couple of times on the phone because I used to kind of say, I wonder about this, because she mentioned some stuff. And I've wrote stuff down before and tested her on the phone, or like drew a little picture or something, or wrote a sentence, and she got it. I only did it twice, but she got it both times, and I thought that's pretty good, 100%. Like after only 2 goes, it's not a big sample, but I thought that's something. I think it's got Celtic heritage, Irish. So I don't know. You don't know, do you? But anywho. That's enough about will-o'-the-wisps and the folklore surrounding that, and these mysterious, enigmatic coloured lights, and whether or not they're leading people away. Just try and stay on your path. You've got a sat-nav these days, and just learn how to use maps in case technology goes down. And know your bearings, or check by the stars, so you roughly know your north, east, south, and west, because it does really help. And that's the way you kind of stay pragmatic. And humans we're supposed to be adaptable, so we're supposed to be able to take care of ourselves. So just saying, that's how it's meant to go. We're supposed to be able to look after ourselves, aren't we? Rather than rely on other people. If the systems go down, like what happened to Canada not long back, the internet went off. Credit card systems aren't working. They can't. It's stopped the country for a day. Pretty freaking scary, really. People couldn't get stuff that they really kind of needed. So I don't know. But anyhow, we're going to play a little bit of music to sign us out on the old radio clock stuff. So let's go for one of these montage tracks. We'll go for number 15 of my little 5-minute block mixes there. So yeah,
You didn't find them in Project Bloober file? Yeah, I'm Wendell Stevens, Lieutenant Colonel.
Oh, a bit too loud there. Just came in a bit sooner than expected. So anyway, thanks very much for tuning in, Bailey. Thanks for joining us, Thomas. Jay, always a pleasure. And tune into the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And this is enough for me, Exiled Minds Podcast, Liam Martin, talking about will-o'-the-wisps. And you take it easy, folks. I'll catch you soon.
What they got had a lot of blackout, censorship blackout on them. They had to conclude for the public what caused the situation from what was already deleted. They didn't know. You've heard of Dr. James McDowell from the University of Arizona. So we gave him this case that he could go to right field and verify that they went through right field, but they didn't go to Project Blue. He didn't find them in Project Bloober files. He asked the question, where are these reports going? I know they're not going to Project Bloober, but where are they going? So he didn't get his answer. He did cause some consternation in the cabinet, and it was shortly after that, only a few weeks after that, he was suicided.